Hi, this is Raj from Sportscars. In this video I'm going to go through a common thing I'm starting to see now and how to fix it, which is the Sport Chrono dial and the basically the watch side of it. So this section here, the needle's actually either falling off, so the minute hand falling off. In this case it's actually the, let me just make this a bit brighter. There we go. The minute hand comes off and just sits loosely in the just around that chrome area there, because the actual hands actually bend. In this case, this one has actually tried to be straightened in the past, I think, and the end of the minute hand has actually snapped off. So it's still rotating and everything, but there's not a hand to actually point to what minute it's showing. And the hour hand has bent. You can see it's slightly curled, and that's not a user error or anything like that. It's purely down to heat basically distorting those needles over time. So I've got the tools I think I'll need. I haven't done this before, but I've had some needles 3D printed. So there, I've got two sets here, just in case one set breaks. But there is the new hands for that face, and you can see they're absolutely tiny. So I would recommend getting sort of like a watch repair or service kit, and these are available on places like eBay and Amazon, and they have precision tweezers. I believe you're going to need a little bit of super glue just to dab on the end, just to hold them in place. So it's a very fiddly job. You'll need some a trim removal tool to get the clock out, and you'll need a Torx screwdriver to unbolt the clock from the plastic surround, which I'm going to pull out, and ideally have it set like I have, so it's at it's switched off. If when you get in the car it enables and it's showing the time, just persevere, wait for it to basically turn off the electronics again in the car so that it all zeros, and then unhook it. If you unhook it at say 3 o'clock, you then set all the dials up at 12. When you turn it back on, it will move them around thinking that they're in a certain place, but they're not. So just save yourself the heartache, just basically let it switch off before disconnecting it from its loom. So they're the tools, obviously a cloth as well to stop you from, when you're prying out that bit of trim, not to sort of damage the leather, damage the plastic. So the first thing is to get that clock out of the car. I'll take the screwdriver as well. I think it's a T25. If it isn't, it's a T20, which are sort of the two common sizes that you find. And this fix is for 991s in particular, because they have this center section here, which is constructed in this way. So my instructions will show how to pull this out. So basically this whole section needs to lift up, and then you can unscrew this clock from there after disconnecting the wiring loom to it. So I'm going to do that first, and then hopefully you'll see me making a great job of it first time round, but it is quite fiddly. I'm not going to actually push on this leather because I don't want to indent it. I'm going to actually use the plastic right at the back there to get to it. So you kind of need to get under it and sort of tease it up. So there's 6 clips. There's 2 at the back, 2 here, I believe, because I've watched some other videos about this. You just need to just gently pry it out. Right, so that is that section, and then there is a loom there which you need to disconnect, and it is sort of screwed, not screwed in, it's held in with a clip. So I'll just disconnect that while it's all zeroed. There we go, so that's disconnected to make sure that's still to hand. And then there is also a loom there, so you can completely remove it. I'm not going to, I'm just going to unscrew. There's 2 screws there, just at the bottom of the dial. And be careful not to get any of these on any of the leather here, because it will scratch. So maybe put some cloths down if you're worried about doing that. Actually, yeah, it looks like it's a T20, so let me just go and grab that, and I'll actually use a different screwdriver as well, because this one isn't going to work. All right, so I'm going to use a ratchet with a T20, so you can get a nice right angle to the screw. Be careful not to drop these down the vents as well. You don't want to lose these screws because you'll forever be hearing them rattle. So I'll just put that one on the floor, out the way. Get the other one. Oh, so there is the clock has just dropped out. And there we can see, hopefully you can see there's a top of the needle floating around there. So you take this whole clock, get it on your work desk. Then I can show you how it comes apart. Okay, so this unscrews very gently. Be careful not to pull at the face, because it will actually pull those needles off altogether, because it does. I'll explain this when I take this section off. I'll leave this facing down so it doesn't let any dust in it while you're working on it. And there you can see there's a needle there, and it's missing it on the edge there. So you don't want to pull this bit at all, because it will actually lift the face of the clock potentially. Just try and be as gentle as possible. I'd actually get a cloth to sit everything on as well. Right, so we're going to gently take off and then you're going to need a tiny amount of glue just delivered to the stem, just to hold that needle in place. Just put a drop. Tiniest amount. Just between the needle and the stem it sits on, and set it. At the 12. Right. So that should hold that in place. And then the minute hand actually sits on the top. so fiddly. Right. And this again, you need a tiny bit of glue, but just in the little dot of it before you put it on. That's the smallest amount. Then you need to put it on the spindle there. Be very gentle. I'm now hoping that that is at the 12 o'clock at the zeros, but at 12s correctly. So when I put it back in, it will tell the correct time, but I'll let those set for a minute before putting everything back together. Right, so, and then you need to make sure there's no dust in there, but screw that back on. So there is the new dial, and let's go and plug it in. First thing to probably do is actually plug it in before screwing it all together again. Just seeing it fires up okay, and also it keeps the correct time on the dials. So very carefully plug the loom back in. So that's all clipped in. Just leave that there for a second. Let's see what happens. Well, that is a brilliant sign because it's actually moved to the correct time on the faces. Then actually, if I've figured out actually, if I lock the car, it should turn that clock off. Because that's what it does when you lock it, it switches everything off. But obviously I'll unlock it again quickly. And all the hands are moved. I'll just unlock the car just so I don't get locked in or the alarm goes off. There we go. So now I'm just going to put it all back together. So it's already plugged in. So I just need to screw it in with the two T20 screws into a position. Very gently again, not to knock it too much because you don't want to displace those needles again. But basically a sport chrono clock is quite a huge amount of money really. So there's no official replacement from Porsche to do this fix. They basically say you just replace the whole stopwatch, and I don't think that's needed when you can get these needles 3D printed for, I mean, literally I spent, I think about €7 on the design file, and I bought 2 sets, I think it was 30 quid. So I've got a spare set just in case that set broke by me not being careful and being a bit clumsy. I mean, the whole job has probably taken me less than 30 minutes and I haven't done this job before. So there we go. Just make sure when you put it all back in that the looms for the stopwatch and also for the, I think it's a alarm sensor. Make sure they're not catching anywhere, and then you just need to firmly push down in the right places. So there's the front two, there's a side two, there's a back two. So there we have it. There is the fixed Sport Chrono. So I'll just put it in again. Perfect. That is working exactly as it should. Okay, so that is the Sport Chrono fully repaired at an absolute fraction of the cost of buying a brand new Sport Chrono dial. And I think it's so much better to keep the old part fully working, not having to buy a brand new part. I think it's around £1,000, but I'll flash up a picture of one and how much they are on this video. If you do have any questions about this fix, please don't hesitate to comment below. Please do like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.